If you're scrolling through endless wine fridge listings, the real question on your mind is probably something like, will this actually keep my bottles at the right temperature without taking up half the kitchen and costing a fortune? You want something that fits snugly into the space you have, stays reliable day after day, and doesn't make you feel like you overpaid for a pretty face on the market. The fear of ending up with a unit that hums loudly, drifts temperature, or forces you to constantly shuffle bottles around is real, and it's why I spent a good chunk of time digging through forums, reading the specs, and watching a handful of owners walk their wine refrigerators through daily life. The Allavino 50-bottle single-zone left hinge model BDW 5034S1BSL is one of those units that shows up a lot in the conversation, so let's unpack whether it lives up to the expectations of a serious home collector or if it's more of an eye-catching decorative piece. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I'll start by talking about the kind of setup most people have at home. Most wine enthusiasts either have a kitchen island or a dedicated bar nook and need something that can sit free or be built into a cabinet. This Allavino is designed to be flexible. At 34 inches tall, 24 inches wide, and 23.5 inches deep, it can slide into a standard fridge cavity or sit on a countertop. That adaptability can save you a lot of hassle if you're renting or think you might move it later. For anyone with a tight kitchen layout, that dimension is actually a sweet spot, big enough for a half case but small enough to not dominate the room. Temperature control is the heart of any wine fridge, and the digital panel on this model lets you dial in anywhere from 41°F up to 64°F. That range covers everything from reds that like a little warmth to whites and sparkling that need the cooler end of the spectrum. In practical terms, I've seen people set the unit at 55°F for a mixed collection and not have to fiddle with it weekly. The Truvino cooling technology claims to be energy efficient and maintains a steady temperature, which is reassuring when you're running a fridge 24/7. What matters in daily use is whether that promise holds up when you open the door a lot, say, during a dinner party when you're pulling a few bottles. The fan inside this Allavino is relatively quiet. I've watched a few YouTube unboxings where the unit barely registers above a background conversation level. That quiet operation lets you keep it on a kitchen wall or bar shelf without the constant worrying that can be a turnoff for some. Now let's talk storage flexibility. The FlexCount shelving design lets you move the shelves up or down, which is handy if you have a mix of standard 750 ml bottles and a few larger formats, think magnums or bottles with oddly shaped labels. In real life, the ability to rearrange the interior can save you from the dreaded bottles won't fit scenario that many reviewers mention for more rigidly built models. You can also store wine accessories, like a small corkscrew or a bottle stopper, on the top shelf without sacrificing the essential bottle space. That kind of adaptability makes the fridge feel less like a static container and more like a versatile mini wine cellar that grows with your collection. Energy consumption is a hidden cost that many buyers overlook. While the Allavino's Truvino system is marketed as energy efficient, the actual wattage is modest, roughly the same as a small window AC unit on a low setting. In a typical household that runs the fridge continuously, the electric bill won't spike dramatically, especially compared with older models that use older compressor technology. If you're an eco-conscious collector, you'll still want to keep the door closed as much as possible, but the unit doesn't add obvious strain to your monthly budget. Who should consider this fridge? If you're a budding collector with around 3,050 bottles and you want a dedicated spot that can sit on a countertop or be tacked into a built-in enclosure, this Allavino hits a sweet spot. It's also a good pick for homeowners who entertain regularly and need a reliable way to keep a few bottles chill without committing to a larger, more expensive cellar. The left-hinged door design is a small but thoughtful detail for those who have a kitchen layout that favors a left-opening access point. Think of a narrow island where a right-opening door would swing into the walking path. On the flip side, if you're looking to store a massive collection, say, a few hundred bottles, or you need separate zones for reds and whites, you'll quickly outgrow the single-zone design. The 50-bottle capacity is generous for a hobbyist but can feel cramped for anyone with a more serious inventory. Also, because this unit doesn't have a dual zone option, you can't set two distinct temperature zones, which means you'll have to compromise if you store both reds and whites together. For a serious connoisseur,